When I opened my eyes, I felt the weight of an entire galaxy pressing against my thoughts. It was like every scream, every prayer, every dying breath was pulling at me all at once. I wasn't standing on anything. I was floating above a burning world, watching endless war spread across the land like a disease. Smoke rose into the sky, covering the sun in thick darkness. Explosions flashed again and again, lighting up the chaos below me. I looked down at my hands glowing with soft blue energy, and I knew I had been pulled far away from anything familiar. Nothing in my old life prepared me for this. I could feel billions of lives across distant stars, some living, some dying, some already gone. The pain was overwhelming. I felt soldiers screaming inside metal bunkers. I felt medics trying to stop bleeding with shaking hands. I felt fear growing heavier with every second. This universe wasn't just dangerous, it was wounded, broken, and crying for help. The armies below fired huge weapons at monstrous creatures. The shockwaves rolled through my chest like thunder. Their fear hit me harder than the blasts. It felt like a heartbeat pounding inside my mind. I lowered my hand without thinking. A soft wave of blue energy spread across the battlefield. I didn't mean to cast it so far, but the power moved on, its own wounds closed. Armour repaired itself. Soldiers who had been seconds from death stood up in disbelief. Some stared at me with hope. Others looked at me with pure fear. Like they couldn't decide if I was saving them or judging them. I didn't walk. I simply appeared wherever someone needed help. My mind touched thousands of minds at once. Their thoughts rushed into me, full of confusion and desperate prayers. Some believed I was an angel sent by their emperor. Some thought I was a trick from the warp. Their beliefs pushed and pulled at me, but I stayed calm. I wasn't here to prove anything. I was here because something had dragged me into this place, and now every part of me felt responsible for its suffering. When I tried to speak to the soldiers, the air trembled around my voice. Psychic energy rippled out from me without permission. Far away, I sensed demons stirring at the edge of reality. They tried to reach for me like claws scraping at a window, but the moment they touched my presence, they burned away. Their screams echoed in a language deeper than sound. Something in the warp had noticed me, and whatever it wasn't happy. I didn't want to fight anyone. I didn't come here to conquer planets or challenge gods, but this universe didn't care about my intentions. It only cared about survival. As I healed more soldiers, I felt the warp twisting in anger. Something ancient and dying was watching me, waiting for me to make a mistake. I didn't know why I was in this galaxy, but I knew one thing with complete certainty. This place needed healing, and I was already part of its fate, whether I wanted to be or not. The soldiers formed a tight circle around me, their armour clicking as they raised their weapons halfway. I could feel their fear and their hope blending together like two forces fighting inside their chests. They wanted to believe I was here to help. But in this galaxy, anything unusual is treated like a threat. When they asked who I was, my answer made the air vibrate with energy I couldn't hide. The sound made them step back, and their armour hummed as if reacting to me. I could sense how deeply they feared anything that didn't fit their rules. To them, only the Emperor deserved trust. Everything else was a possible curse. I tried to speak softly and explain that I meant no harm, but the power inside my voice was too strong. They flinched each time I opened my mouth. Some whispered that I looked too calm for a battlefield. Others whispered about psychers, demons, or signs from the Emperor himself. A commander stumbled toward me, holding his bleeding side. He grabbed my arm and begged for help. I didn't even think. I placed my hand on his wound, and the blue energy spread across his body. His skin healed, his armour reformed, his breathing steadied. His entire squad watched it happen, and then they dropped to their knees like they were witnessing a miracle. Their reaction made the higher officers panic. They weren't afraid of me hurting their soldiers. They were afraid of me controlling their belief. I could hear the officers whispering. They wanted to take me to Terra. They wanted to lock me away in the name of safety, but their real reason was fear. They didn't want someone like me walking freely in a galaxy built on strict order. Their intentions burned against my skin like heat, and I understood exactly what they planned even before they spoke it aloud. Then an inquisitor arrived. His steps were cold and precise. His eyes had no warmth, only calculation. He demanded answers, and when I spoke, he pushed psychic force toward me like a blade. The moment his probe touched my mind, it disintegrated. He staggered back in shock, unable to understand why his power failed. His fear sharpened into anger. He ordered me to surrender immediately. I told him no, and I didn't raise my voice. I didn't need to. His soldiers pointed their guns at me, but I felt their hesitation. None of them wanted to fire at someone who had just saved their lives. Confusion pulled at their hands, and fear held their fingers still. I moved past them in an instant, reappearing beside another wounded soldier who needed help. My healing glow spread again, and more people stared at me like they were seeing a living contradiction. Some whispered blessings, some whispered curses, some stared like I was the Emperor reborn. Across the galaxy, astropaths screamed as my presence touched the warp. Psychers felt a shockwave hit their minds. Ships far away detected my energy like a new star had suddenly appeared. I wasn't trying to challenge anyone. I wasn't trying to break their order. But the Imperium felt threatened anyway. They wanted to control me, test me, own me. They didn't understand that I came only to heal, not to kneel. And while their fear grew louder, I felt something darker, stirring far beyond them, as if another force had finally noticed me and was getting ready to move. The moment my presence spread across the sector, the warp began to twist like a wounded animal. I felt its surface shake as if a giant hand had struck a stormy ocean. Demons gathered around me before I even moved. Their attention hit me like cold wind. They whispered my name in broken languages that felt like knives scraping against my thoughts. I didn't invite the connection, but my mind brushed theirs by accident. Their hunger rushed into my awareness, a bottomless need to consume anything alive. As I moved through the dead city, the air around me shivered. Buildings flickered between ruin and bone. Shadows stretched into twisted shapes that crawled toward me on desperate hands. Demons poured out of them with screaming mouths and glowing eyes. Some roared in pure rage. Some begged for my power like starving creatures. Others tried to cover me with thoughts made of poison and lies, hoping I would lose myself. My energy pushed them back without effort. Their bodies dissolved like smoke blown by a gentle breath. Even though I never meant to harm them, more of them came. They pushed against reality, trying to force their presence into the material world, but each one fell apart the moment they touched my energy. The warp didn't understand what I was. It kept trying to classify me: psyker, machine, demon, fragment, avatar, nothing, fit. Its confusion became fear, and that fear pulled something much stronger. A demon prince tore through the sky like a wound opening above me. Its wings stretched wide, dripping with rotten light. Its voice shook the ground. It pushed into my mind with all its strength, trying to crush my thoughts with ancient force. The attack hit me like a wave, but the pressure fell apart instantly. Its power couldn't attach to anything inside me. The demon felt it. I felt its fear explode like a spark. It charged anyway. Its claws cracked the stone beneath me as it swung with all its might. I didn't move. I didn't prepare. I simply raised my hand and let the blue glow flow outward. The light touched the demon gently, and its massive body unravelled grain by grain until nothing remained but drifting dust. The warp screamed as if I had torn a piece of it out with my fingers. I felt gods turning their attention toward me. Their awareness pressed against my thoughts like distant storms. None of them understood me. None of them could influence me. I wasn't a psyker. I wasn't mortal. I wasn't born from their realm. I was something they had never faced. Some demons fled into deeper layers of the warp. Others rushed toward me in desperate waves, trying to overwhelm me with sheer numbers. I kept walking. Each step sent out energy that dissolved them, healed the fractures in reality, and sealed the rifts behind me. Every healing action made the warp weaker. Every repair sent pain through its structure. I hadn't come here to destroy anything, but healing this galaxy created wounds the warp couldn't bear. It tried sending storms, illusions, false memories, anything to confuse me. Nothing touched me. And finally, the warp understood the truth. I didn't belong to its cycle, and because of that, I was the one thing it could never control. As I moved deeper into the galaxy, the results of my actions became impossible to ignore. Everywhere I went, people reacted in different ways. Some reached for me with hope, believing I was the answer to everything they feared. Others watched me with anger. The end, thank you for watching.